Hey everybody, and welcome to Stock Abilities. Today I'm going to be covering something a little bit different for the channel, and it's going to be covering the coronavirus and explained and what is it and how will it affect the stock market economy in 2020. But before I go into that, make sure to subscribe to the channel in the bottom right, and we're going to jump right into it here. Now, the coronavirus has been getting a lot of media attention, but so far it hasn't really caused a lot of deaths. It's in the single digits at this point as of this video, at least according to what the Chinese media is basically posting out at this point. And corona is a large group of viruses which can affect both humans and animals with cold-related diseases. The intensity of the infection ranges from common cold to acute respiratory syndrome. However, the new strain causes a novel virus to humans. So far, the information related to the disease, its signs, modes of transmission, and even the source of infection is very limited. It seems to be that it's based on touch, if you guys are all that interested in it. But I'm going to be focusing more on the aspects of the stock market and how it's going to be affected and how historically it's really not all that bad for it in regards to the actual seriousness of the coronavirus. It's kind of at a sort of a pandemic spread level, but it hasn't caused a lot of deaths yet. I guess we'll see in the next week or two how that progresses. But as you can see here, you got coughing, fever, pneumonia, shortness of breath, vomiting, and diarrhea. That's very vague symptoms. That could be a variety of any different things. So in itself, that's almost fear mongering. But just some techniques if you guys are super worried about it. You want to maintain good hygiene. You want to avoid contact with your eyes and nose as much as possible. If you're paranoid enough, you can wear a mask. If you're in the more congested areas, so far, if you're in the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, basically anywhere outside of China, you don't need to worry too much as of yet. Then you want to avoid contact with other people, not so much as isolation, but just not to associate with them as much, not as much hand contact, not as much interaction kind of thing. You want to maintain good general hygiene habits, and obviously you want to be up on your vitamins and things like that and keep eating healthy and stuff. But when the news came out, obviously it was a bit harsh here, as you can see with the Dow Jones Industrial Average taking quite a big hit here. It did kind of double bottom out on the weekly, but then it kind of broke that and went down even further. And then you can look at SPY here, and as you can see, it kind of double bottom bounced on the monthly. If you look, 328.77. And as you can see here, it went down all the way down to the 327.50s range. Obviously, this is a Google chart. I'm not bringing up Thinkorswim at the moment, but as you can see here, you got the monthly double bottoming and then kind of bounce back. Just kind of historical figures for you guys to see here that HIV/AIDS, you got June 1981, and then 6 month change, only a little bit, and then a 12-month drop. Obviously, HIV/AIDS was a more serious pandemic, and it's still going on. There hasn't really been a solution for it, but it had the biggest reaction. Then you got the pneumonic plague, and September 1994, you got the 6 month up. 12-month up. And most of these, as you can see, with even with SARS, it actually went up. Even with avian flu, it actually went up. You got dengue flu, fever, it went up. You got swine flu, it went up a lot. You got cholera, it went up. You got MERS, you got Ebola, you got measles, Rebola, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. That it kind of was flat on that. And then you got Zika and you got measles and rubella. A lot of the media, at least in my opinion, is doing this because you got earnings coming up next week. You got a lot of big tech reporting. You got Google, you got Facebook, you got, I think Microsoft is reporting next week as well. And there's a whole lot of other tech and a whole lot of other companies reporting. This is actually the first biggest earnings reports week of the year for 2020. So, as you can see, the timing is kind of coincidental that they dropped this heavily and then they use this narrative. And although a pandemic is something to be taken seriously, they seem to be kind of exploiting it for their own benefits to dump the market, kind of dump the premiums for options, things like that, to give them a chance to get a good entry for the upcoming earnings reports. I guess we'll see how that pans out into this next week here, but it's looking like it's going to be positive. A lot of stocks are kind of bull flag forming, and they look like they're about to break out and actually gap up rather than break down. There's a lot of fear mongering going on. It looks like Monday might be a little bit of a rough day into the open for futures, and then dump and then pop back up. So I'm expecting kind of a dip and a pop for the markets, as you can kind of sort of see if you look at the charts and you look at the volatility indexes and things like that, that it's looking like it's actually going to be breaking out and not breaking down. But I guess we'll see what happens in the next week. I'm not a seer, I'm not a financial advisor, so take this at your own risk as to when you're trading. Obviously, this can get kind of worse or kind of better. It depends how it plays out in the media. As you can see, uh, there historically, this kind of stuff hasn't really broken out that much and killed that many people. The numbers were not that high so far, in the single digits, at least what's been being reported. But then you get articles like this from Twitter, not articles, but tweets that they're abandoning big cities, and it seems a little bit fishy as to just how serious this might be. That I get that they're trying to contain the situation, but it seems like they're doing a little bit of an extreme situation, considering the small percentage of outbreaks, a small percentage of deaths, at least that were reported publicly to the media outlets. I don't know how accurate those numbers are. Then, of course, you got them going spraying the whole entire residential areas of Shanghai and Wuhan for the virus's rapid spread. And you get these media outlets and you got YouTube videos and things like that that are kind of sensationalizing it, but no one's really talking about the flu. The flu's been around for quite a while here. No real cure. Same with HIV and AIDS. And you got just look at what's happened since 2014, 2015. This is from Forbes, if you guys are wondering. I'm going to reference all the resources that I use in the description below. But as you can see here, that the flu claimed around 51,000 lives. This count is nowhere near that at this point, and this is based on CDC estimates. I can provide that resource as well. And then the next season, 2015-16, had an estimated 23,000 deaths. Once again, we're still in the single digits. So once we get into the thousands point, that's when you should start to worry that this might be a more serious pandemic than what might be reported. But obviously, I wouldn't trust major outlets for this kind of reporting, because they're going to try to avoid the fear aspect of it. So they're not going to report the actual numbers of what's going on. And then an even higher 61,000 in 2017 to 2018. So actually, the flu is kind of picking up in deaths, but it's not really highlighted by the media as much. And it's basically, it's all about good hygiene. It's all about, you see a person coughing and spewing out mucus or something like that, you generally want to avoid that person. But so far, although the spread is quite rapid, it doesn't seem to be having a more major effect, at least in the death toll. If you notice, a lot of the people that, if you read some of the media outlets that are a little bit more honest, that a lot of it's from older people or people that were already sick that have been basically the death toll that, in regards to this particular thing. And of course, there hasn't been any real serious vaccine yet. Some people are reporting that there has been, but I haven't seen any full verification of that, and vaccines can take not just days, but weeks, months, years. I mean, they have been working on variations of coronavirus, so they might have some kind of immunity builder kind of thing out there, but they don't have a vaccine per se to benefit for people at this point. And then, of course, just another resource if you guys wanted to check it out. Now, this is kind of neat. It's tracking the coronavirus outbreak in real time. How accurate it is another story, but as you can see here, it's been spreading quite rapidly, but it's mostly been in the China area here. If you go to the United States, you go to the United Kingdom, Canada, so on and so forth, there hasn't been that many reported cases. I don't even know how they determined the two people that have been reported from so and so areas. I'm assuming they're also downplaying that as well. I'd imagine that much more than like 3 people made it to the United States with this and being a carrier, but I guess we'll see how that spreads. Obviously, this is based on Thursday afternoon, where it reported 18 related deaths and 653 confirmed cases, 444 in the Chinese province of Hubei, of which Wuhan is the capital city. And then I'll, of course, link this below if you guys are interested in that. I also know some prepping servers I can link to below that you guys can check out if you want more information on this. But at this point, it's definitely spreading quite rapidly. But at this point, the death toll is still rather low, at least what's being publicly reported. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's really going on, but I guess we'll find out here in the next week. And because, media outlets can only prevent so much with VPNs and things like that that kind of block out the bans in certain countries, including China, that they can more publicly express themselves, whether either through a mobile phone, whether through a video, recorded video. There's YouTube videos online that you can look at that people are talking about it within the infected area that say that it's a little bit more harsh than what's really going on. So a lot of these things you can kind of check out and you can determine for yourself. But once again, we're going to go back right here that generally, at least for the market, it's a positive thing. In only one case was it ever severe enough that you would have actually lost monies, and that was in the 80s. The market's a lot stronger than it was in the 80s, in the 70s, and so on and so forth. So even around the time of which you had the economic crash, so to speak, or the banking thing with the bailouts and all that, 2007 to 2008, as you can see here, even then with that going on, and then swine flu right into 2009, it actually still went up. So it seems to be more depending on economic factors than the flus and stuff itself. It doesn't seem the market reacts as much to that, just more about the historical timing of the economic factors over anything else. Thanks for listening in. That's about all I wanted to cover in this video. I just wanted to get a video out for you guys just to kind of keep you guys a little bit more informed about what's going on. And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I'm not sure I'm going to be covering this anymore unless it gets much more serious. But make sure to check out videos in the bottom left, bottom right, and subscribe to the channel. And comment below on your own input on what you think about this. See you later.